modern fashion designers, welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to specially thank all my subscribers, and if this is your first time seeing us, you are highly welcome. Please join us by clicking on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So guys, in today's class we're going to be doing these very beautiful cowl neck top with a collar. You can see how big it is on the mannequin. That is because my client is on the big size. I'm making use of this beautiful Duchess satin fabric, and I'm using 2 yards for this project. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into the tutorial of the day. Now for this class, you're going to be needing your back full scale basic bodice pattern. For the sake of those that are just joining us, I'm going to quickly explain this. Now here, this line I have here, this straight line here is my shoulder line, and that will serve as the starting line. Now from here to here is 12 inches for the bust point. This is 18 inches for the waistline, and this is 25 inches for the top length. What I'm having here is 1 inch for the hemming allowance. Now on this bust point line here, I did bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches. So I'm going to be using, this is 2 inches for the seam allowance. I'm going to be using 1 inch for the ease and 1 inch for the sewing allowance. On this waistline here, I did waist circumference divided by 4. I'm having waist 40 divided by 4 is 10, and I added 2 inches for ease and seam allowance. This is the top length here. I have 47 as the hip measurement. So on this part here, you're going to be taking your hip circumference. So I have 47 as the hip circumference divided by 4 will give me 11.75, and I added 2 inches for ease. I hope you understand. So for here, I did 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now we're going to be using only this back pattern to cut both the back and the front. First of all, we are going to be cutting the back, and after cutting the back, we use this pattern to cut out the front part. So as I was saying, from here I did 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and from here this is the chest line. How did I get this chest line? By dividing the bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. So the bust circumference is 43 divided by 6 plus 1.5 will give me 8.6. So from here to here is 8.6, and I came up here, what I have here, I divided it by 2, and I went in on that point here, on the midpoint, I went in by ½ inch, and I connected to the bust circumference. So here I have the bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches. I hope you understand. So what I have here is just ½ inch for my joining allowance. And remember, I said earlier that this is 2 inches here for the ease and for seam allowance. Now after this, what I'm going to do now is to curve this part. Remember, you can leave it as straight as it is, but my client wants the down part curved. So I'm going to come here from this hemming allowance line. I will go up by 3 inches here. And what I will do is to measure what I have here from here to here. I will measure what I have here and divide it by 2. So I will make a mark on the midpoint, and from there I'll come in with my curve rule and connect. So this is the midpoint here. I'll connect. So you can go in below 3 inches. 3 inches is not constant. It depends on how high you want your curve to be. I hope you understand. So what I'm going to do now is to cut this out, and we'll transfer this to fabric. I also want to mention that the neck width I have here is 3.5 inches and the neck depth is 1.5. I took 3.5 because of the size of my client. So if you're making for a smaller size, you do 3 inches. So another way you can get it is by dividing your client or your bust circumference by 12. So my client bust circumference is 43. When I divided it by 12, I have 3.5. That is her basic neckline. So as you can see, there is no dart here on the body, and there is no zipper allowance. We are cutting this back part on fold. So guys, I'll cut this out and we'll go over to the front part. So guys, we are done cutting the back part, and before we cut the front, there's one important measurement I would like you to take. So while making this cowl neck top, it's important that you measure the cleavage depth of your client. So all you need to do is to put All you need to do is to put your tape here on the highest point of the shoulder here. Then you ask your client where she wants the cleavage depth to stop, the opening. So this is it, and from there you measure to the other shoulder point. So when I measure for my client, what I have is 20 inches. So I want you to take note of what you have gotten there. So to begin cutting for the front, what I will do is to bring the back pattern again, and from this shoulder line here, I can decide to come down by 7, 8, 9, 10, or even start from this bust point. But what I will do now is to trace, just use broken lines to indicate this chest line I have here. And from here I'll go up by 2 inches here, and I'll connect to this chest line like so. Now I'll slash this open. I'll transfer this to the fabric. So guys, to cut this out, what you're going to do is to place your fabric on fold just like you did to the back part. Now the place that we have slashed, what you're going to do is to make sure that at every point in time, you see this part here is following this midpoint here. So make sure it's laying directly on the midpoint. Please, this part should not shift. Now for this part here, remember the cleavage depth that we measured. I told you for my client is 20 inches. So I will spread this thing and make sure that what I have here from here is half of 20 inches. Remember, this fabric here is on fold, so half of 20 is 10. So what I have from this neckline here to this point should be 10 inches. As you can see, it's 10 inches. Now we are going to connect. If you've watched our previous tutorial on cowl neck top, you will notice that we started connecting from this shoulder line here. But for this, because it's going to have a collar on the front, we are going to start connecting from here, from this neckline here. So this is it, to connect it straight. Just rule a straight line from there, not from here, please. So after that, we are going to cut out. So after cutting this part, what I will do is to notch here, because this is where my collar will stop. I hope you understand. So I will cut this out, and the next thing we are going to do is to cut out the facing for both the front and the back. So guys, after cutting, this is what we have. Please do not forget to notch here. This is where your front collar will stop. So I've gone ahead to cut out the facing for both the front and the back. If you notice, for the front part, the facing got to the armhole line. Please do not let your facing get to the armhole line, please, because I later shortened mine. I noticed that a longer front facing has a way of obstructing the free flow of the drapes on the front, so please make it shorter. And for the back, 3 to 4 inches from the shoulder line is okay. After this, next thing we are going to do now is to start joining all these pieces together. So to start, first thing first, we have to set these two facing aside. So we'll start working on the main fabric. This is the front part. What we are going to do now is to place the front part and the back part right side facing each other like this. Remember, this is the shoulder here, so we connect the two shoulders together like this. Take it to the sewing machine and stitch. Also come to this part here, bring this in and connect the two shoulders together and stitch. After joining the shoulder, this is what we have. Before we attach the facing, what we are going to do first is to cut out the collar, attach the collar before joining the facing to this main fabric. So to cut out the collar, what we are going to do is to measure the neckline. Remember the notch we made where we said the collar will stop at the front area. So this notch I have here, I'm going to measure. I'm going to place my fabric like so and measure. So from this notch to this center of the back part. So as you can see, what I have here is 8.25, and remember this is on fold. 8.25 multiplied by 2, that will give me 16.5. Now let's go back to the cutting table. So this is my paper, and yes, this paper is on fold. It's one piece, but we know that this is on fold. So what we measured is 8.25. Remember, on fold is 16.5. So I'll measure 8.25 here. Then I'll determine the length of my collar. So the length of my collar is 3.5 plus ½ inch for joining on the down part. I'm not adding ½ inch to the upper part because I'm cutting the upper part on fold. So plus ½ inch for joining, that will be 4 inches. So I'll come here and measure 4 inches. Then I'll connect. After that, I'll square it up here. Now what I'll do is to come here, divide this 8.25 by 2. So whatever I have, I'll mark it. Now on this part here, I'll go up by ½ inch and connect to this point, like so. So this is it. Next is for me to come to this part here and go out by 1.5 inches. And I'll connect like so. Remember, I've already added half to this part here, to this down part. I'm cutting here on fold. So what I'll do now is to also add my joining allowance to this part here. I'll cut this out. So this is the upper part here. This is on fold. And I'm also cutting this upper part on fold. Now I'll cut this out and transfer this to my fabric. After cutting the collar, this is what I have. I've also ironed a paper stay to this. So what I will do now is to take it to my sewing machine and stitch this side, close this side up and this side. Then I'll turn it and give it a good press. After joining the collar, this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to notch the midpoint of it. Now I'll bring these main bodies here. I've also notched the center of this back part here. So remember the notch that we made here. So I'll place this here like so. Meeting the center of this, and I'll pin it down. So I'll take it to my sewing machine and run a stitch from the center. Remember to pin down to this notch part here. I also do same to this other part here. After attaching the collar, this is what I have. So next is for us to attach the facing. So to attach the facing, what we are going to do is to bring the two facing, the front and the back side, join the shoulder like the same way we did for the main fabric. We join the shoulder of this facing. After joining the shoulder of this facing, this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to knot the center of the back part. Now what I'll do is to pick this main one here, turn it right side facing up, and close this with it here. So the two right side facing each other. I will match the center, the front and the back with the back, like so. So match the front, match the back neckline with the back facing, match the front neckline with the front facing, and stitch all around. After joining the neckline, this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to give tiny notches on the neckline. What I'll do next is to flip it over like this and give it a good press. So as you can see, this is it. All the raw edges are inside this facing. So when I turn it over, this is what I have on the wrong side. Next is for me to match this up here, the shoulder to the shoulder here, and top stitch. So top stitch on the both sides. Please do not forget to serge your raw edges. After top stitching the facing with the main fabric, what you do is to lay it right side facing each other. Lay the back and the front side right side facing each other, and join the sides with the 1 inch seam allowance. Remember, we left 2 inches, one for ease and one for joining. So I'm going to join these 2 sides with 1 inch seam allowance. After joining the side, this is what we have. Next is for us to attach the sleeve and hem the damper. But remember, you can add any sleeve of your choice to this. All depends on what you want. So I'll cut the sleeve, show you what I have before attaching it to this bodice. So for the sleeve, note that you can use any sleeve of your choice, but if you're making the exact one we have on the thumbnail, so all you need is your basic sleeve pattern. So this is the basic sleeve pattern I'm making use of. I also have a detailed tutorial on how you can make this basic sleeve pattern. I'll drop the link on the comment section. So all you need is your basic sleeve pattern plus your ease allowance. So your ease allowance depends on how free you want your sleeve to be. So another thing I want you to take note of is that, please, if you're making this sleeve, do not shorten the length of your sleeve because of the curve or the band we have on the sleeve. If your sleeve length is 24, please make sure your basic sleeve is carrying 24. Do not subtract the length of your band from it, please, so that we can have that little excess around the sleeve area, around the curve area, as you can see from the sleeve we have on the thumbnail. So what I will do now is to attach my sleeve and show you what I have. So guys, I'm done attaching the sleeves, and this is what I have for the 2 sides. So about what I told you earlier concerning the facing, you can see I later shortened mine. So this is about 5 inches. Yeah, 5 to 6 inches from the shoulder line. Please do not let it get to your armhole. It has a way of obstructing the flow of your drapes. I hope you understand. So after everything, this is the back part. What you do is to use your hemming gum here to iron it flat. I hope you understand. So do not also forget to hem the down part of your top. What I will do now is to put this on my mannequin. Let's see what we have done. So guys, this is the final look of our top. I hope you like it as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching. And oh yes, we have the making of this trouser on this channel, from the drafting to the cutting and to the sewing. I'll drop the link on the comment section, so feel free to check it out. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. Please, if you're yet to subscribe, take a few seconds to hit on the subscribe button. Like, comment and share our content. I'll see you in my next class. I am Modern Woman. Bye for now.